Now, many of you have seen some of my other videos on the series and the topic of witchcraft in the Bible. You know, the funny thing is, witchcraft in the Bible is actually not so much in the Bible as it is in the church as it's taught, because there's a lot of things manipulated in the teaching that's really not in the text. Case in point, when Jacob does the deal with Laban in the Bible, in Genesis. Jacob does a deal because he's in love with Laban's daughter. He snookers him. He gives him Leah instead of the one he wants, and then he works for him 7 years. Then he works another 7 years for Rachel, which is the one he wants. And then Laban says, "Oh, I bless you. I've done all these good things for you. Blah blah blah. You now name your price, and we'll continue to work together." And as the story goes, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, Jacob says, "Give me all the spots, specks, and stripe. Livestock, sheep, goats, whatever." And then it goes on to tell the story about Jacob laying out, limbs and leaves, next to the strong animals and all like this. Here, go ahead and, have a producer go ahead and post the scripture now so that I don't misquote it. Hey, little boy. Okay, now the scripture says that when the strong animals were in heat, that he placed this in front of them, and then the strong ones, came together, and there's spots, specks, and stripes in the herd, and he got spots, specks, and stripes. The problem is this is actually portrayed as witchcraft, because if you'll notice, read the scripture closely. Never does the scripture say, unless yours is modified, never does it say that God told him to do that. It's just something he did. Never does it say that he did anything substantial. It just says what he did. Now, spooky, freaky, weird people in the church want this to be some kind of God event, some kind of thing that God did magic with. God doesn't need to do magic. All it is animal husbandry in the Bible. The Bible itself, Laban and Jacob never say, "Oh, this is spooky, this is God, this is this is it." It's just a deal that they did, and Jacob wins. The crux of the deal, for many of you, think that it's a fair deal. Many of you read it thinking it's a fair opportunity. But Jacob is the supplanter. The deal is a stupid deal for Laban to take. That's the problem people don't understand. People think that Laban got involved in a good, fair deal. It was never fair for Laban. Read the text and think animal husbandry. It's very clear from the text that Jacob selected his stock from the herd, and he selected spots, specks, and stripes. So his herd, which is full of regressive traits, is over here. Meanwhile, where did the spots, specks, and stripes come from? They came from Laban's herd. If they were left alone and nothing more happened, if that herd mixed, they would continue forever producing spots, specks, and stripes because they once did. That's it. Simple animal husbandry. Here's the thing. If the stronger animals were mixed, and by stronger, he's talking about the more resilient. You take your daggum little pedigree little dog, and he'll be at the vet all the time. Sick, puny animals. Meanwhile, a mixed animal that's going to be stronger, a junkyard dog, is going to make it. He's going to survive. He's going to reproduce. That's what Jacob did. He selected the spots, specks, and stripes, which is a regressive trait, which left alone, the herd would have produced them forever, and he would have made out if he had done nothing whatsoever. That herd would have kept just sending him animals. His herd, on the other hand, since they are spot, specks, and stripes, are probably not going to come out one colored. They're all going to be multicolored, so he's going to get to keep all of them, and he's going to get to keep everything coming over here. You would win all day long. I'll show you some goat clips, and my goats, they always produce spot, specks, and stripes. Getting a pure color goat is the long shot. It is not the norm. It is nearly impossible. Laban was an idiot for taking the deal. Meanwhile, if you put the stripped bark limbs next to the water, if you put all the water and feed in one area, the stronger animals would dominate that area because they're going to eat. And then as they mated, the strong animals would be given the opportunity to reproduce these stronger regressive traits, spots, specks, and stripes. It has nothing to do with magic, has nothing to do with the bark and the strips of bark, it has everything to do with the fresh aroma of vegetation which would draw the goats nearby. That's it. It's animal husbandry. It is not witchcraft. It was never written to be witchcraft. And the only people that think it's witchcraft or any kind of spooky phenomenon is people today who know nothing about animal husbandry. Or that they've gone to seminary or somewhere else where they teach some spooky thing that God can do all this kind of stuff. God can. God had already done it. They already have the regressive trait. On a second note, here's the thing. The herd of Jacob was of mixed animals with these stronger regressive traits. When they moved into the next phase of their life, bondage in Egypt, they would have had a more resilient herd than that of Pharaoh or whoever else raising the pure, weak animals. Check it out. Go to a junkyard and see if there's dogs there. See if they're not uglier than yours but stronger than yours. What you'll find is this was a preparation for the animals to survive, potentially, on down the line, being better suited to resist the disease and pestilence that came with the 10 plagues of Moses. We've actually done some work on the 10 plagues of Moses, and you need to see that. But meanwhile, this whole spot, specks, and stripes thing, there's no magic whatsoever. There's no mystery. There's no mystic anything needed. All you have to do is just let the goats get together, and they produce spot, specks, and stripes forever. And if you kept removing them, they still had the genes. They still had the traits. They would keep poking up, spotting up, spot, specks, and stripes forever and ever and ever. If you did something by way of vegetation, by feeding the strong ones closer, they would have reproduced faster. The deal was a bad deal for Laban. There was no way he was going to win. And the question for me really is, why would Laban take the deal? Obviously, Jacob offered the deal, but why would Laban take it? Anyway, no magic there, no witchcraft. It's the hand of God, but it's just wisdom at work. Unfortunately, there has not been that much wisdom at work in the church teaching this properly. And we need to insert wisdom in the church and temper people a little bit rather than creating flighty, freaky, flaky people running off looking for magic and things of this nature. Most of the magic of the Bible is not magic at all. It's just the hand of God giving people divine wisdom and direction as to how to go about their daily business.